Salve e benvenuti ad un nuovo episodio della Blind Run di Starfield. L'ultima missione abbiamo fatto un sacco di peripezie per risolvere il debito del nostro amico Percival. E niente, adesso direi che possiamo andare a parlarci. Vediamo un po' cosa ci dice. Vediamo un po' cosa ci dice. Trova Percival, va bene. Di qua, lui. Dov'è? Lontanissimo. Oh. Ah. Quindi era qui lui. Pacchetto di filo. Andiamo sotto. Ma è impossibile che adesivo non si trova in giro. Non c'è un po' di adesivo, non c'è niente. Però è profonda sta caverna. Altre matite acquose. Quasi quasi. Dove cacchio sei? Ah, eccoti. Presa. Un po' di matite la prendo io. Presa. E ci siamo. Su. Vigilante. Potrebbe esserci roba interessante, che tipo l'adesivo qui. Ok. Sotto abbiamo questo, direi, che è molto specifico. E oddio. Però se è questo, poi ho bisogno di questo. Che va qui. E infatti, questo va così. Allora, 1, 2. Qua su invece abbiamo un, direi, 1, 2. 1, 2. Niente, solo soldi, purtroppo. Speriamo un po' di materiale invece. Niente. Altra matita acquosa. Non perdere altro tempo a recuperare altre matite acquosa. È gigantesco sto posto. Ma come cazzo? Così tanti? Cioè, così grande sto posto, mi sembra strano. E nessuno ne sa nulla. Cioè, probabilmente la gente stava alla larga perché pensava ci fossero gli spazianti, però è enorme. Cazzo, sembra una base. Cazzo ne so. Più che una miniera sembra una base militare. Segreta. Poi magari è veramente così, Forse è una sigillante. Niente.
Now you want to explain to me why you're going around harassing nefarious old men by wiping away their hard-earned debts?
Lo sai, scusa, lo sai, scusami. Sono qui per fare una consegna per conto di una vecchia collega, Hadrian Sanon.
Adrian sent you.
Hadrian.
She's... Did she look okay?
Sì, era rimasta ferita mentre cercava di recuperare questo campione che ti sto consegnando.
Sounds like Adrian. Watch that woman lose a digit trying to get a better tissue sample. What? You can reattach a finger, Percy? So what exactly did she have you bring me?
Cellule di terrormorfo prese da un mondo troppo giovane per averne uno.
Adrian said that, huh?
Sì.
If she made you come all the way for this. Let's get inside. I need to see these cells.
Vediamo. Quartier generale dei Diavoli Rossi. Ah, giustamente, perché il quartier generale dei Diavoli Rossi. Certo. Aveva detto anche cosa prima, non avevo ricollegato. Effettivamente è una base militare. Espositore casco. Faccendiere neositi. Tira delle bande di neon, anche no.
Gonna ask you to not touch anything. Got some projects in the works down here. I wasn't expecting guests.
Tocco tutto io.
Oh, and Lou mentioned how you took care of the dead.
Sì.
Managed to negotiate it down to something more reasonable. Good to see someone give the trade authority a bit of their own medicine.
Ti seguo, Percival. Analizza sto campione.
All queued up. Let's gaze into this abyss, shall we?
Sì.
All right. Just get those cellular markers tagged. Wait. Where are the markers? This can't be right. This sample, it's Londinian.
Londinian.
I'll need to get this all in a slate.
Che senso?
Adrian really gave you this sample. You're not lying to me? Because if you told me this was a hoax, and it'd be the best damn fake I've ever seen, I'd be mad and very, very relieved.
Non è falso, l'ho prelevato personalmente dal terrormorfo.
Can't just humor an old man, huh?
No.
This sample, it's got all the indicators of the worst terramorph attack in human history. I presume you've heard of Londinian.
Sì, lo conosco, Londinion. L'ha menzionato, sembra che sia stata una vera tragedia.
It was. An entire city wiped off the map. The swarms were so bad, they had to blow the spaceport and seal the place off from the galaxy at large. Not a lot of samples made it off the world from the time of the attack, but the ones that did, well, they look just like this one. I didn't detect any of the telltale signatures this specimen ever sat on a ship while it was alive, either. I don't think it was transported to Tau Ceti. This specimen, it grew there, faster than any terramorph should. Which means, if we're about to start a new era in human-terramorph relations, where big, sudden Londinian-style attacks can happen outside Londinian, that's not gonna end well for humanity.
The chances for survival, let alone maintaining any kind of functioning society, would be slim indeed.
So, you lugged this bad omen all the way here. You want to tell me what your plans are for it now?
Io non so nulla. Gli ordini sono di portare te le analisi che dovrebbe aspettarsi a Six Circle, esatto. Ma hai detto che l'attacco a Londino è stato enorme, no? Perché un solo terremorfo fa tanta paura?
Because until now, the terramorphs that wiped out Londinian had the good sense to stay put. What happened there? It was a tragedy, but at least it was contained. So to find evidence for a similar attack on a different world, well, we don't have enough information to know precisely what this means. But I doubt it's good. So I'd love to know what it is you're planning from here.
Strano. Adrian dovrebbe trovarsi al Six Circle.
The circle, huh? Could use a drink about now. Here, faster we take the lift to the surface. Not supposed to use it, but given the circumstances, I'm inclined to just ask forgiveness. Let's get going.
Incontra Adrian al Six Circle. Probabilmente potrebbe esserci qualche rivista, però c'è veramente troppa roba da guardare in giro. Molto grande il posto e non ho molta voglia di perdere tempo a guardare in giro. Sono curioso di vedere la missione. continuarla. Niente, solo robacce in giro. Va bene, andiamo avanti.
The biggest surprise is not that the UC engaged in xeno warfare in the past, but that they ever stopped. I would have expected them to very quietly keep this place open.
Superficie di Marte. E questo è un altro luogo ancora. Quindi il quartiere dei Diavoli Rossi è collegato alla miniera, che però ha anche un'uscita sua. Va bene. Andiamo al Six Circle. Che palle. Dai. Sì. Non ci mettiamo nulla a raggiungere il Six Circle.
Be careful down near the mines and enter any.
Opla. Eccoci qua. E le.
Adrian.
Eccoci.
Percival. My God, look at you. You're an old man now.
You're no hassling yourself anymore, Major. Our friend here showed me your sample. Suffice it to say,
Not here. Let's talk somewhere more private. Lou said we could use the back.
Mi seguo. Ciao coso. Non dici niente del
You should
tuo
give that
amico?
recipe a whirl. Percival's research tends to be pretty sound. And probably less than a 10% chance you go blind.
Ehi. Va bene.
Excuse me?
Think Hadrian's looking for you. Not the kind of person who likes to be kept waiting.
Vieni, cosa?
Lou gave me the abridged version of what went down. Yeah,
makes two of us.
I hope it ultimately didn't end up being
sì, è un po'
too much
vicino però.
trouble.
Aspetta. Spostiamoci
Eager
un
to
po'.
help, if I can.
Spostiamoci in modo un po' più umano. Parliamo in modo umano.
Thank you again for getting this drop off done.
Ecco.
I really hope it wasn't too much trouble in the end.
Qualche scontro a fuoco in più di quelli che mi capitano di solito durante le consegne mi rende ingestibile. Non è stata una passeggiata, ma ci sta.
That's certainly not what I was expecting you'd have to go through. But thank you. I'm just glad you both came through intact. So, were you two able to get that workup together?
Got it right here. That sample? It's an exact match for the ones from Londinian.
Londinian. That's exactly what I was afraid of.
Not thrilled to be the bearer of that kind of news. That's for damn sure. So tell me you've got some kind of plan for that workup.
Well, right now, we've got more questions than answers. So I've been trying to figure out what it's gonna take to access our old Terramorph data.
Ok.
Good place to start. What'd you find?
It's in the archives.
The Armistice Archives?
Ah.
Doesn't that mean we'd be dealing with the Cabinet? And the Freestar Collective? And House Varun somehow? Guess we can kiss that approach goodbye.
I didn't think the cabinet would be willing to hear us out either. But I called in some favors. They've agreed to hear us out on two conditions.
Ok.
One, they want to see this analysis you two have procured.
Si fa. Non
And
penso sia
two,
problema.
They want to discuss what happened on Tau Ceti.
Ok.
With both of us.
Cosa sono gli archivi dell'armistizio? Che non ha a che fare, esatto, dai. Spiegone per chi non lo saprà, per chi non lo sa, dai.
Well, when the colony war came to a close 19 years ago, with the signing of the armistice, 3 factions were involved in the negotiations. The UC, Freestar, and House Faroon. They made a lot of decisions about what sort of tactics should and shouldn't be permitted in future conflicts. All information related to the things they decided should be banned was locked away in the archives. Now, it's possible to get things out of there, but only with the agreement of members from all 3 factions. And as to what our research is doing in there, well, I'll get to that.
Cos'è il gabinetto?
The cabinet's the UC's highest governing body. The president, top military brass, scientific and diplomatic division heads. Any major decision the
il
UC
must.
makes goes through them. They're the only real chance we've got of unlocking the archives. So without their blessing, we're flying blind.
Se cercate un uomo capace di sedurre gli altri funzionari, sono quello che fa per voi.
Well, that's about the best news I've had all day. But before you commit, I want to make sure you know the whole story.
Spiega.
Percival and I, we're not just researchers.
Già, l'ho notato.
We were military scientists. Ran a division of the UC together that deployed aliens on the battlefield as weapons.
Place I was hiding out. That was our unit's home base.
After some early fits and starts at other facilities, the place eventually became the heart of UC xeno-warfare. A practice that's been banned ever since the armistice went into effect almost 20 years ago. And the UC military cut us loose for what we'd done.
Quindi adesso cosa siete? Non è che Luci mi sbatterà in prigione perché vi sto aiutando?
No. We were both dismissed after the war for what we did. These days, we're just concerned citizens with a very particular area of expertise. Our damage has been done for a long time.
Tutto questo non spiega perché i dati sono sugli archivi. Sì, in realtà sì. Mi stavo chiedendo se avreste mai condiviso con me questa piccola informazione.
Oh. You already knew.
Sì.
I'm sorry about that. It didn't seem relevant in the moment, and well, it's not something I'm exactly proud of. But it was during that assignment that the UC asked us to explore deploying terramorphs on the battlefield. The project never got off the ground, but the data our team gathered is now sitting in the archives, along with all the other information banned after the colony war. Under the watchful eye of monitors from all the galactic factions still participating in regular politics. But if we can convince the cabinet to help us access that data, it'll give us the tools we need to decipher what exactly this sample might mean. And hopefully, how to prevent more attacks like the one that spawned it.
Perché dovrei fidarmi a lasciare a voi questi dati? Come faccio a sapere che non è pericoloso?
Because the Terramorph project was doomed from the start. Terramorphs are too mean, too smart, too hungry to be used in combat. Trust us, we tried. The data that's in the archives, it's historical write-ups, anatomical notation, food chain analyses. I doubt they would have even classified it if it didn't have a xeno-warfare logo on it. You have my word. It's not a threat.
E perché il gabinetto non dovrebbe consentire di aiutarci?
I mean, I hope they will, given the evidence we've acquired. But getting the Freestar Collective and House Faroon on our side, that won't be easy.
Since neither group is exactly on great terms with the UC at the moment, for various reasons.
Exactly. It's going to mean negotiations and deals and plenty of diplomatic legwork to see this through.
Ci sono io.
But I don't see a better option to solving what's going on here. So, it's gonna be up to us to get them on board.
Va bene. Andiamo a parlare con questo gabinetto.
All right.
Detta così fa un po' ridere, però.
I'm gonna go get this work up into the cabinet's hands. I'll meet you out front of Mast in New Atlantis.
Good luck. You two are gonna need it.
Credit for your thoughts, as they say.
di soldi, eh. Allora. Subito. Ci penso 2 volte. Ah, 30 attacchi furtivi mischia adesso? Merda. Merda. Ok.
Might be time I start working
Pare.
on some projects of my own. Not a lot of folks would have stuck their necks out for a stranger like that.
Bene. Dobbiamo andare a Nuova Atlantide. Incontra Hadrian a Nuova Atlantide. Testimonianza oculare. Mi fa andare al TASM. Però io voglio anche andare al pozzo per recuperare il libro di coso. Non so chi lo possa vendere lì sotto il libro al pozzo. Sto pensando.
I think
Vediamo.
I prefer the wild planets to this city. At least there, the predators are easier to spot.
Va bene, andrei già anche meno edgy. Non c'è bisogno. Allora. Missioni, spugna mediatica. Spazioporto. Eccoci. Andiamo al pozzo. Il pozzo. Chi è che lo vende? Sono curioso.
Saw your ship come in.
Ah, la Trade Authority. Buono. Ovviamente non lo romperanno i coglioni.
It's cliché, but it's true. Be my guest.
Dai. Risorse. No. Vendono questa? Come cazzo è possibile? Vabbè. Prendi il libro. Io potrei vendere un po' di roba in teoria. Un po' di roba che non mi serve. Tipo... È già un po' di peso in meno. Comunque non pesano tanto queste cose. Dobbiamo vedere... tuta spaziale. Casco spaziale. Questo direi che possiamo venderlo. Non mi serve a nulla. Veleno Ripshank. Rispetto al coltello che ho io. Io che coltello sto usando, scusate. Il coltello elementale. 22 danno fisico. 28 danno fisico. 30% contro gli alieni. Il colpo consecutivo infligge più danni. Infligge casualmente danni veleno. Infligge casualmente danni corrosione. Oddio. Questo forse è meglio però. Perché se lo uso il coltello probabilmente lo uso per fare attacchi stealth, non per fare colpi consecutivi. Per questo sicuramente lo vendiamo. Ci devo pensare. Avanguardia UC. Alleanza dei liquidatori. Possiamo venderlo. E... matita acquosa. Andiamo roba alimentare della nave da vendere? Volendo sì. Volendo sì, abbiamo un po' di cellulite. Conferma. Un po' di clorosilani. Qualcosa che pesa molto. Peso. Questo ne è un sacco. Vai. Plutonio. Un cavo gravità zero lo lasciamo. E va bene. Poi abbiamo varie. Il cuore di Marte, vendiamolo. Vendiamolo. E va bene. Ci siamo liberati di un po' di peso.
If you need anything else, you know where to find us.
Riportiamo il libro a Mitch. Riportiamo il libro a Mitch. Poi torniamo su Marte. Quindi andiamo al TASM. Andiamo al TASM e vediamo un po' cosa ci racconta il gabinetto dell'UC. Quindi spazioporto. Spazioporto. Quartiere residenziale, la loggia, quartiere del TASM. Facciamo una visita ai genitori, non penso che ci dicano qualcosa di interessante, ma ogni tanto... Cioè, penso che effettivamente da quando mi hanno dato la nave spaziale sia praticamente finita la loro utilità, però... sono simpatici.
Captain,
Questo tasto?
over here.
Arrivo, scusami. Aspetta, questo. Sto venendo da te, Adrian, un attimo. Eccoci.
The workup's in the cabinet's hands. They said they'll call for us once they've gotten to properly review it.
Va bene?
But listen, I know I should have been more forthcoming about who I was earlier.
Va bene.
So, in the interest of full disclosure, there's one more thing you ought to know before we head up there.
Un'altra?
My relationship with the UC. It's more complicated than it might seem at first glance. The UC's actually the only reason I'm here in the first place. I am a clone of a man named Francois Sanon, one-time fleet admiral of the UC during the
Come un
colony,
clone?
former head of the UC Navy.
Che senso?
They called him Ve Victus. Woe to the defeated in Old Earth Latin. A title he earned. The program I was a part of, it was the UC's attempt to create a new generation of military minds from one of their most respected tacticians. Secure the leadership of the UC military for generations to come.
Tu sei un clone di un uomo? Come funziona effettivamente?
A non-trivial amount of gene editing. Clone, honestly, isn't even really the right term for our relationship, thanks to the amount of donor material that was required to bring me into this world. He and I are different on more than a few levels, but there's no denying the fact we're inextricably linked.
Ci sono altri esemplari del tuo programma, altri cloni?
I'm the last.
Come l'ultimo? Ce
A
ne
few
erano
of my
tanti?
siblings, they passed when we were young. Training accidents and the like. But most of the rest were deployed to the front lines during the colony war, and they never came back. Not a day goes by where I don't think about what the world would look like with them still in it.
E questo Ve Victis deve essere stato un comandante eccezionale se Luci ha voluto clonarlo. Che è quello che hanno ucciso. Con il processo che hanno fatto... Interessa di più sapere cosa c'entra che ho fatto...
He would have happily told you he was one of the greats. Ultimately, though, it didn't matter. The man I was cloned from, my father, was executed for acts he committed.
Esatto, sì.
The man caused a lot of death on both sides. Freestar Collective and UC. Military and civilians. And the things he did, well, they're a part of the reason the UC and Freestar Collective aren't really on great terms to this day. So my involvement, it could be another obstacle they throw at us up there.
Ok.
I just wanted you to be forewarned.
Cosa ha fatto tuo padre per essere per meritare di essere messo a morte?
He had his men open fire on civilian ships during the Battle of Cheyenne. A battle that he ultimately ended up losing anyway, devastating the UC fleet and bringing the colony war to an ugly end for the UC.
Bello.
But he's also the one who ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport during their outbreak, condemning countless lives. Both sides agreed the settled systems would be better without him.
Ok. E io pensavo che la mia famiglia fosse un casino, ma... Cioè?
Well, my areas of expertise are pretty specific, but messed up families are up there. You know, while we've got a second, was there anything else we needed to discuss? I know you got dropped into the middle of this pretty fast. Or if you've got any last-minute business to attend to, now might be a good time. No telling how long the cabinet's gonna keep us waiting out here.
I tuoi occhi sono rossi? No, questo qui gli occhi rossi sono il risultato del fatto che lei è stata su Marte. Ti lo dico, lo dicevano anche i minatori hanno gli occhi rossi su Marte.
That's actually a souvenir from my time
Esatto.
on Mars. The Red Devils unit I was a part of, they were founded by recruits who'd worked some of Mars' deepest mines. Folks used to adversity. The dust at those depths, it seeps into everything. The human eye included. Where the name Red Devils came from in the first place. It became an unwritten rite of passage that anyone wanting to enlist with the Devils had to do a stint in the mines before they could join up. The Devils were always talked about in such revered tones during my training, so as soon as I was old enough, I signed up. And the eyes were my parting gift.
Dimmi di più su tuo padre.
I mean, we never spent a lot of time together. He was too busy being fleet admiral to deal with kids. I was raised by a pair of guardians instead.
Ok.
Until his defeat during the colony war, though, he was known as an extremely effective commander. Savvy, perceptive. That mind opened a lot of doors for him. And for me too. But Ve Victus, for all his ability, was heartless. Ruthless to a fault. In the end, that's what cost
È
him
uno
his life.
stronzo, ma era molto bravo in quello che faceva, insomma. Suggerimento su quello che dovrei fare dire al gabinetto?
Well, thinking about it more, I suspect there'd be value in sharing the fact that the Terramorph project was, well, a failure. There's no need to be afraid of this data being weaponized.
Ok.
Knowing that should calm some of the cabinet's fears and make it easier for us to dispel any suspicions the other factions might have about our intentions.
Ok. Quali sono i rischi se dovessimo accedere a questi dati?
Eye strain from the amount of reading I've got on the horizon if we succeed. The Terramorph project never went anywhere. It couldn't. They're deadly creatures, but they aren't xenoweapons. The cabinet not opening the archives is probably a bigger risk than them handing over the files. That data itself isn't dangerous, which probably wouldn't be a bad point for us to bring up, should the opportunity arise.
Nessuna domanda.
Then I guess it's just a matter of...
The cabinet meeting is about to begin. All parties, please proceed to the cabinet chambers.
Sounds like our cue.
Andiamo. E, visto che ci ho fatto caso, possiamo fare così anche. Vai. No, la contadino no. Ecco. Adesso siamo un figo. Abbiamo anche più probabilità di... probabilità maggiori di persuadere le persone, quindi...
Captain, congratulations on joining the ranks of the Vanguard.
Grazie.
Keeping the skies safe. Enjoy your time
Tutto bene,
in
grazie.
New Atlantis.
Ehi, coso?
Captain, crossed paths with Hadrian Sinon earlier. Said you've been invaluable to her. Keep it up. Was there something you needed?
No. Andiamo su. Andregia. Vai. Tra l'altro è particolare che abbiamo effettivamente un membro della casata Varun che ci sta guardando durante questo incontro. Adrian. Manca qualcuno del collettivo Freestar però. Eccoci.
Ah, welcome. You must be the captain Hadrian mentioned in her report. You have our thanks for the risks you faced in securing this information.
I ringraziamenti non mettono carburante nella mia nave, signora. Vabbè, proprio frasi del cazzo, per fatti stare sulle palle a tutti. Hadrian ha spiegato chiaramente che questo problema deve essere affrontato con la massima urgenza.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yes, well, precisely how urgent is what I hope we'll determine here today. So now, we have two petitioners here making a surprising request. Access to the UC Xeno Warfare Team's Terramorph data, currently housed in the Armistice archives. A request which will require not just this body's agreement, but that of all three Armistice signatories. UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varun. Now, Captain, we've all read Hadrian's report on the subject, but we have yet to hear from you. Perhaps you could summarize for the Cabinet what it is you see as the goal of this endeavor.
Allora, stiamo ancora cercando di capire cosa abbiamo davanti, non possiamo prendere decisioni senza dati. Ci servono i dati degli archivi per trovare il modo di fermare una potenziale apocalisse di terramorfi. Sono qui per raccogliere raccontare quello successo, quello con i piedi grandiosi è Adrian. Ci servono i dati per fermare una potenziale apocalisse di terramorfi.
That's quite the leap, Captain. Madam President, I object to the very premise of this meeting. While no one would argue that what happened on Tau Ceti was anything less than a tragedy, terramorph attacks are not some sudden new threat on the horizon. They've been happening for generations. To demand we hand over banned archival knowledge and possibly upset the balance of galactic diplomacy because of a single attack seems at best panic. And at worst, a power grab by the daughter of a bloodthirsty warmonger and her associates.
Madonna, Yasin.
I would remind the chief diplomat who he's speaking to. If it's my father you're looking to address, you're welcome to consult a medium. I would also ask how many deaths the Cabinet requires to act. 50? 50,000? Because if tragedies like Tau Ceti are just prelude to more attacks, I have no doubt you'll get the body count you require.
Let's keep this civil, shall we?
Beh, non era
While
troppo.
there should be no doubt, the preservation of life stands paramount among this body's duties. Chief Yasin has a point. Will a single attack, however troubling, be sufficient to convince the other factions to grant us access to what they no doubt consider weapon data? I don't think it's enough. Perhaps you can help, Captain. As the one who actually collected the sample in question, did this terramorph seem at all alarming to you?
Ha distrutto una colonna prima ancora che questa si accorgesse di lui. Piuttosto allarmante.
That is worth considering. This attack took place on an almost completely uninhabited world. The casualties were minimal as a result. But if there's another attack, will we be so lucky?
Yes, a fine point, Admiral. So then, Captain, given the discussion now and the information you've been privy to thus far, if you were in our position, would you grant the request made to open the archives?
Che domanda è? Dovete decidere voi. Signor Presidente, se dipendesse da me non accorderei la richiesta. C'è una ragione per cui gli archivi sono sigillati. Personalmente io aspetterei, non abbiamo ancora informazioni. Sì, se il timore è che possano produrre armi, il programma dei terramorfi è stato un fallimento. Quei dati non sono pericolosi. C'è possibilità che... successo possa... vabbè.
You are correct, but it must be considered that with the data in hand, someone else could succeed where that program failed.
Andrei già.
That? I hadn't thought of that, Captain.
An excellent point indeed. The other powers would likely be much more inclined to work with us knowing that. Chief Diplomat.
That point is a good one. Very well, you have my agreement. The galaxy is lucky you were here today, Captain.
You and I are in agreement, Chief Diplomat.
Mm-hmm.
So, if there are no other objections, I believe we can agree to give our full backing to make the request to...
Tana?
What was that?
Attention. An incident has occurred. Facility lockdown engaged.
Incident? Chief Sarkin, what's happening?
There's been an attack at the spaceport.
Bene, è il momento.
Terramorphs. More attacks. Just as predicted.
Good God.
Oh no.
There must be another explanation. The creatures evaded our scanner somehow.
There will be plenty of time for conjecture later. Chief Sarkin, order the evacuation of the spaceport and have your men contain the things, but do it discreetly. The last thing we need is a citywide panic.
Yes, ma'am.
Admiral Logan, the local barracks can provide support?
I'll make the order myself. Nearest anti-Xeno squad, though, is off-world. Going to take a while to bring them in.
Well then, we'll have to make do with the tools we've got. You two, we can't risk those things getting out of the spaceport. I want you both on the next train there. We'll let them know you're coming and that you've dealt with these things before. Now go show them how it's done.
We're on it, ma'am. Captain, I'm right behind you. Let's get down there.
Andiamo. Oh, calmi. Attenzione Nat. Fammi un attimo salvare, è meglio. Oddio. Che cazzo succede? Che cazzo sta succedendo?
You have made a grave mistake. I'm hit! Threat neutralized! I got you! Give up already. Why do they even try?
Bene. Ma... Ah, perché non sono storditi, sono stati, diciamo, ammazzati, ma sono immortali. Ok. Che scazzata. Ok, è andata. Tutto bene?
Thank you for what you did. We didn't want to hurt.
Non potevo neanche ucciderli, quindi anche se volessi voluto.
I've seen this before. They were under the Terramorph's influence, weren't they?
I don't know. They were down at the port and they just started screaming. We tried to restrain them, get them on the train to get them out of harm's way, but some of the other officers down there, we couldn't restrain them fast enough. They just started firing on us. People we knew.
Cosa è successo? Mi si è aperta a caso una finestra di Windows e... Vabbè, a posto, scusate.
Went berserk. Pheromonic projection. Some Terramorphs, they can induce this fog. It affects everyone differently, but some people just lose control. Turn against everyone around them, even if they don't want to. They're like a puppet. You kill the morph, you break the hold.
Ok.
But this means we're gonna need to be real careful with our fire. And keep that EM weapon at the ready.
Va bene. Significa che devo preoccuparmi che tu mi attacchi?
I honestly was just wondering the same thing. But no, you don't need to worry about me. I've had a Terramorph try it on me before. I'm not susceptible.
Ok.
So we'll just have to make sure to watch out for each other down there.
Stai insinuando che i terremorfi possono controllare la mente delle persone?
I'm not suggesting. It's documented behavior. The result of the projection, though, can vary wildly. Some folks just shrug it off. Others hallucinate. And some lose control altogether. They'll lash out at anyone around them. But still be aware while they're doing it. Those cases, you'll either need to knock them out with EM fire, or free them by killing the Terramorph.
Ok. Dobbiamo affrettarci allora.
Let's do it.
Nat's unlocked. Please, do what you can to help them.
Faccio quello che posso. Allora. Mettiamo nei preferiti, è l'unica. Così possiamo ottenerla velocemente. No, però non lì. Non lì perché sennò è un casino. Mettiamola al posto della pistola. Tanto non la usiamo mai la pistola. Bene. Spazio porto.
Something may be nearby. No time to waste, Captain. Stash the EM and pull some firepower.
Madonna.
Let's move.
Un attimo di mancamento il gioco. Vabbè, eccolo.
You've lost. Captain, you're going to be okay. It's not real. Whatever you're experiencing right now, it's not real.
Non sto facendo niente.
Put down that force. Check your stance. They got me.
Tante creature. Sana. Che sono in grado di controllare mentalmente le persone. Ah. Poi prendo tutto, fanculo. Ok. È andata.
Wait, officer? Are you and this woman experts? Take whatever we can get right now.
Ah, Yumi, ti conosco,
Got
sì.
the remaining creatures locked down on the landing pad, but we're barely holding our perimeter. They said you've done this before. Well, one fire team to spare and whatever supplies you need, but I can't risk them taking over any more of my men. Put those things down and do it fast.
Bene.
We'll hold them as best we can.
Rimettere Morphy, parla con la sola d'assalto.
Heard you might be looking for some backup. You say the word, we're out there on your 6.
You two have any experience with terramorphs before?
Only the brief they just gave on the way here, but we know how to handle pressure.
Surviving a full-on mental assault isn't the same as keeping your cool in a firefight. Might make you more liability than asset.
We're not UC security. You don't need to worry about us.
È sicuro che non vi mettete ad attaccare noi là fuori?
We're not afraid, but we'll stay here and hold the line if that's what you want. You're the experts.
State qua, è meglio. State qua.
Your call. We're on the line.
Voglio evitare che mi arrivino questi qui e mi sparano le spalle. Eliminate Morphy. Ce n'è più di uno? Bene. Livello più basso per quello, eh. Bene. Puttana.
Help! They're gonna kill us. Please help.
Andato. Come distorsione. Sta dormendo, che carino. Che cucciolo. Perché sono rossi questi? Non erano rossi. O sbaglio gli altri? Vabbè. Certo che a Bethesda comunque non sono contenti se non mettono una creatura grossa che fa casino e ti respinge. Ok. Pensando ai draghi di Skyrim.
Thanks to us. You deserve whatever accolades you have coming.
Alle bestie ardenti di 76. Beh, molto volendo anche. I Deathclaw. Vabbè. Aia. Yumi.
Guess they weren't kidding about you two. Universe put the right people in the right place.
Ricordatevi solo di chi vi ha salvato il culo. E ritorno dalla posizione, siete stati tutti quanti degli eroi, dai.
Certainly doesn't feel like it. I don't want to think what would have happened if you two hadn't been here.
Ma che voce c'ha? Non aveva questa voce l'altra volta, o sbaglio?
Captain, we should report back to the president. Let her know the terramorphs have been dealt with.
Va bene.
Take care of yourself, Sergeant.
Vederla, sergente. Andiamo a parlare col presidente. Col presidente. Penso che adesso saranno convinti dal fatto che sono una minaccia ai terramorfi, no? Poi sarebbero da analizzare anche questi, però è probabile che siano della stessa origine, ovvero Londinion. Che però strano, come fanno a... Come dovrebbero fare a muoversi da Londinion? Se hanno effettivamente distrutto tutto.
Let your people all know how much we owe them today.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, there you are. I believe we have some things we should discuss.
Sì.
Captain, Hadrian, it would appear that the cabinet owes you our thanks for what you did for the city today, as well as an apology. Your concerns about the terramorphs, well, consider them validated.
Thank you, ma'am.
La mia gratitudine avrebbe sotto forma di crediti, immobili o beni di lusso. Grazie.
Of course. I only wish we could have acted sooner. Now, today's events have only clarified our path forward in the eyes of the cabinet. You will have our full support in collecting the terramorph data from the archives, as well as a subsequent investigation into the nature of these attacks. But to accomplish those goals, we're going to need the right people in the right places. As such, the cabinet has authorized me to reinstate you, Hadrian, effective immediately, to your former rank of Major. As soon as we've got the data in hand, we want you investigating these attacks and how to stop them. Will you do this?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'd be honored.
Excellent. But as you've both made clear, for such an investigation to succeed first, we're going to need someone to convince the Free Star Collective and House Varun to play ball.
Come?
Someone who
House Varun,
knows
poi.
precisely the sorts of dangers the colonies and all the galaxy are facing right now. The cabinet wants you, Captain, to be that representative.
Perché non mandare un diplomatico, qualcuno che abbia un addestramento per cose simili?
The cabinet wants progress, and wants it quickly. You're already far more familiar with the situation than any diplomat would be. There's also no diplomat alive that can claim they helped keep a cadre of terramorphs off the embassy doorsteps. The cabinet was
Va bene,
unanimous.
ho capito.
They want you.
Ditemi cosa ci guarda, ci ripenserò. Siete sicuri che sia la cosa migliore da fare?
We do. In exchange, we're willing to fast-track your citizenship upon collection of the data.
Ah.
So, will you help us?
E cosa otterrò con la cittadinanza?
It has its perks. Only citizens can purchase property in the city. We also pay reduced prices on most goods and services across the UC.
Ah.
There's also a credit disbursement when you first join. Help get you on your feet. But above all, you'd become a dedicated part of the greatest faction in the galaxy. If you're willing to help us, we can open that door.
Può contare su di me, signora Presidente.
I'm glad to hear it. Now, we, of course, won't be sending you in without the proper support. Deputy McIntyre in the Office of Interstellar Affairs will be your guide on gaining access to the archives. You should be able to find her in her office across the hall. And on behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our thanks. You're dismissed.
Bene.
The next time
I'm gonna go
terramorphs
check in
rear
with
their
Chief
ugly
Engineer
heads, the
Kulkarni.
UC is going
Start
to be
getting
ready.
a plan together for that data.
Da informazioni sui terremorfi al Nuova Atlantide. Ah, SCNN?
We're on the cutting edge of technology here. It's an exciting place to be.
E parliamo con la vice. Vediamo cosa ci dice. Non era assolutamente voluta la rima, però c'è pure schifo. Signora.
A Vanguard captain. You... Yes, sir. I'll make sure they get what they require.
Salve. T'ho sentito, eh? Vabbè.
That must make you my Vanguard captain. Welcome to Interstellar Affairs. I'm Deputy Chief Diplomat McIntyre, Chief Yassine's second-in-command. I heard you were instrumental in protecting the city from the attack. You have my gratitude. I was also informed that you gave quite the presentation to the cabinet. Chief Yassine wants you to know the Interstellar Affairs Office is fully committed to this endeavor, accessing the Terramorph data and beyond. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure you have the tools you need. And that means first getting you into the archives. You do know what the archives are, correct?
Sì. Sono il deposito di tutte le informazioni bandite dopo la guerra coloniale.
Someone paid attention in current events. So, then you also know that it was originally managed by the three major galactic
Esatto, l'avete ripetuto 20 volte questa cosa, però.
Access to the archives is only granted in cases of dire emergency and requires a one-time use code from each of the three armistice signatories. UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varoon. Now, the UC is already on board, so that means we'll need to convince two people. The ambassadors of the Freestar Collective and House Varoon to hand over their codes.
Sì.
Get them both and you'll have your data. But that's a lot easier said than done.
Sì, il House Varoon potrebbe essere un po' tosta, eh? Cosa puoi dirmi di questi codici? Possiamo falsificarli?
No. Each is a strip of several million random numbers generated on the fly based on biometric keys kept by each of the ambassadors on their person at all times. They're impossible to create without those keys, and those keys stay with the ambassadors, meaning we're accessing nothing if we can't get them on our side.
Chiaro. Nessun problema, mi serviranno solo degli elettrodi, una pinza per i denti e un po' di pentotal. Vabbè.
Very funny. This is going to be hard enough already. Both ambassadors have reasons they won't, or can't, work with us.
Sì.
Now, I'll provide guidance on how we believe you can acquire each code, but ultimately, it'll be up to you to get them both to cooperate.
Va bene.
And I do mean cooperate. Threats and violence are off the table here.
Va bene.
Though that doesn't mean we can't get creative. But it does mean we need to get you up to speed on who you're dealing with. Who do you want to start with? Ambassador Radcliffe of Freestar or Ambassador Balmore of House of
Balmore, scusami, ma l'ambasciata non è chiusa? Parlami dell'ambasciatore Radcliffe del Freestar.
The good Ambassador Ratcliffe. She's a veteran of the Colony War, and her only goal in life is to make ours miserable.
Bello.
It sounds as though I will enjoy this.
Now, officially, our office is suggesting you try and negotiate with her.
Use your experiences as a member of the military and with the threat we're facing to convince her to lend her support.
And who knows? Maybe that'll work. Stranger things have happened. But my suspicion is we're going to have to rely on other tools to get her code.
Dimmi quali sono questi strumenti allora.
Certainly. See, good diplomacy is all about the careful application of pressure. We just need to find the squeeze.
UC Intelligence has a recording device planted in the ambassador's which we suspect you can use to your advantage.
But
Ricatto.
getting caught trespassing is a quick way to land yourself in an embassy holding cell.
So,
Piccolo
if you
ricattino.
are going to try and access the device, you're going to need to find a way in there without being seen.
Now, we recovered some intel we believe should be able to help with that. But there's also a disgruntled staff member you might be able to pump for information. Maybe even convince to work with you.
Altre cose che dovrei evitare dentro l'ambasciata?
Yes, many. Don't steal anything. Don't get caught anywhere you're not supposed to. Absolutely do not harm anyone. If something goes wrong, we'll do our best to smooth things over, but I can't make any promises.
Cosa mi può dire del membro del personale?
Name's Cameron Long. He's younger than Ratcliffe, bears less of a grudge towards the UC. He works closely with the ambassador, making him a promising source for information on the ins and outs of embassy life.
Ok.
And someone who very likely hates her guts.
Grazie.
All right. Here, your diplomatic ID. I'll give them a heads up you're on your way. Not likely to let you through the door otherwise.
And take these. Chief Yassine wanted you to have some options on how to proceed in there.
Sicurezza dell'ambasciata CF fornita. Ok. Parliamo di Balmor.
Ambassador Balmore's a challenge.
Dimmi.
When the rest of House Varoon retreated into seclusion shortly after the signing of the armistice, Balmore stayed here. He's since lent his support to a small number of archival requests, so there's real hope he might again. Though claiming to know how a member of House Varoon thinks is a quick way to earn yourself a psych eval.
Non ti do tutto, quelli di Casa Varun sembrano un branco di pazzi, come se Andrea non ci stesse ascoltando. Che cos'è che non va alla Casa Varun? Sembrano così delle brave persone.
Well, these days, they're primarily considered a security threat. House Varoon Zealots, a fundamentalist outshoot of the group that stayed behind when the rest retreated into seclusion, want nothing more than to send everyone not dedicated to their cause to the great serpent in the sky. But that hasn't always been the case. After they ended the Serpent's Crusade about 70 years back, House Varoon did take a real run at trying to normalize relations with the rest of the galaxy. It's why they have an embassy here in the first place, why they were included in the armistice negotiations. But then, without warning, they left, leaving behind, to our knowledge, just the ambassador and his duty under the armistice.
Che strano. Che strano. Sembra promettente. Di sicuro è possibile ragionarci. I Varun sono persone come noi. Vero, Andreja?
The Zealots do not represent House Varoon. I am sure there are many within their society who value the same things we do.
Of course. But there is another wrinkle. We're not 100% sure Balmore's actually still alive. His public appearances were always rare. But it's been several years now since he last poked his head out. Scans of the facility show life signs, but not the kind we were expecting.
Your task is to find him and kindly but firmly remind him of his duties under the armistice.
Sei morto?
Then you search the embassy for his biometric key, collect your code piece, and we'll go about notifying his next of kin, if we can ever find them. But let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Aspetta, nessuno è mai stato dentro l'ambasciata?
The embassy is still legally House Varun's sovereign territory, so we're not technically permitted inside. We've snuck in the occasional spy, of course, but the ambassador has proven more evasive than you'd expect for a man of his age. But we're quite sure he hasn't left the city. The man stands out.
Ok. Che tipo di segni vitali avete rilevato?
The Varun delegation brought more than a few of their native flora with them when they set up in the embassy. It seems those plants have been allowed to flourish, making it hard for us to verify what's flora and what's ambassador.
Speriamo di non dare la caccia a un cadavere.
It would at least be a speedier negotiation.
Però sì, effettivamente.
I, of course, hope the ambassador is alive and well.
Now, the embassy front door isn't an option, but our spies have stated there's a side entrance that should allow you access. Here, this device should get you all the way down to the embassy interior. Once you're inside, though, finding the ambassador is going to be up to you. And fair warning, we received a report that alarms might have been tripped inside the embassy during the attacks. Watch out for automated security in there.
Bene.
Now, if you have additional questions or require clearance for a new approach we haven't already discussed, don't hesitate to ask. I'd suggest you start with Ambassador Radcliffe. Approach her while the attack is still fresh in her and her staff's mind. Be smart out there, Captain.
Non penso che abbia molto altro da dirmi.
Everything going well with the ambassadors? Official line is that you're to negotiate with her. Use your charm. My suggestion is to access.
Va bene, va bene.
She's also got a. Well.
È proprio un
riassuntino.
riassuntino.
We're not 100% sure he's alive, but if he is, we're hoping that he'll be receptive to our plan. You'll want to be careful.
Va bene.
Inside.
Va bene.
Good luck then, Captain.
Quindi manuale Nuova Galattica riduce la quantità di carburante. Niente. Direi che prossima volta andiamo a parlare con gli ambasciatori. Sono contento che effettivamente ci facciano andare nell'ambasciata Varun. Sono molto curioso di vedere se c'è qualcosa di interessante che ci possa magari anche dare qualche indizio su dove si trovano. Non lo so.
By the way, Captain, Sergeant Yumi was looking for you. Sounds like he's got more work.
Va bene. Dobbiamo parlare anche con il sergente Yumi. Direi che la prossima volta partiamo dalla collettivo Freestar, direi. E poi andiamo alla casata Varun. All'ambasciata della casata Varun. Quindi direi che possiamo chiudere qui l'episodio. Io vi saluto e noi ci vediamo alla prossima puntata. Ciao a tutti.